This is an intro to the chord map, this version with sevenths chords illustrated. It's an interactive circle of fifths tool designed to help you with playing and writing chord progressions. Here we'll look at the general structure and design, which is similar to the original chord map, the streamlined version with only the root notes of chords illustrated, but with the sevenths notes shown here, it provides some additional insight into borrowed chords, chord substitutions, modal mixture, and all of that. So again, this is an overview of the structure. It's not a deep dive into the music theory behind all of these patterns, which we look at in another video, but again, an intro tour to the design. So on this chord map, all 12 keys are illustrated, and we have major chords shown here in the middle. So C major, G major, D major, A major, and so on in the inner ring. The middle ring has all of the minor chords, so C minor, G minor, D minor, A minor, and so on. And then in the outer ring are all of the diminished chords, so C diminished, G diminished, D diminished, A diminished, and so on. The color wheel in each ring aligns with the chords in that ring. So all of the C chords are a red square, all of the G chords are a red-orange circle, and all of the D chords are an orange square, and so on. And across the rings, we have chords that are grouped into each of the various keys. So the chords in the key of C major are C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished, and C. Rotating these chords in a clockwise direction, one notch to the right, we have the chords in the key of G. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D, E minor, F sharp diminished, and G. And we could keep going all around the circle. In the key of D, the chords are D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, B minor, C sharp diminished, and D. Because all 12 keys are symmetrical, the structure is consistent across all 12 keys on the chord map. And what's cool is that the chord map shows not only the chords within a given key, but also all 7 modes of a given key, both the relative modes and parallel modes. And because these layers can be rotated independently, we can highlight all of these patterns. For example, looking at the C Ionian, which is another fancy name for C major, we have these chords grouped together. But if we rotate the 1, or the tonic of a given mode, to align with a different chord, we see in the perimeter here that the labels of the modes align with the grouping. So F Lydian is just a permutation of C Ionian. It's the same 7 chords, but with a different tonic, the 1 aligned with a different chord, it's a different mode. And if we continue to rotate the numerals clockwise or to the right in increments, we get Mixolydian. Rotating it 1 notch to the right again, we get D Dorian. Another rotation of the numerals to the right, we get A Aeolian and E Phrygian, and then we also get B Locrian. All of these chords, these 7 chords, are the same chords, but they're relative modes, meaning they're related in that they share the same 7 harmonies. And we could do the same thing starting in any key. So for example, in G, if we rotate the numerals to each of those respective chords, we get C Lydian, or rotating to the right, we get G Ionian, D Mixolydian, A Dorian, E Aeolian, B Phrygian, F sharp Locrian, etc. Now these are all of the relative modes, which is cool, and being able to move between relative modes, you can come up with different moods or sounds for a progression based on the tonic of that mode, which sets the tone for that grouping of chords. Looking again at the chord map, this time we're going to rotate through the parallel modes of a given key. And we just rotate the layers, but this time in the opposite direction. So let's align 1 with C, for example, just to illustrate. Again, we have the major 1, numeral 1 aligned with C, so we have C Ionian. Again, a fancy name for the major key. Now, instead of rotating the numerals to the right, we're going to keep the numerals in place and rotate the grouping to different positions. And you'll see that we have C Lydian. C, the 1 is the tonic in this case, but it's a different group of chords. And if we rotate the grouping 1 notch to the left, we get C Ionian. C major is the tonic in Ionian. C major is also the tonic in Mixolydian, but it's over here, so it's a different grouping of chords. And likewise, we can continue to rotate the grouping so that we get now C minor. This minor one is the tonic in C Dorian. Another rotation to the left gets C minor, the tonic of Aeolian with these 7 chords. And then rotating further, we have C minor is the tonic of Phrygian with this grouping of chords. And then also C diminished is the tonic of C Locrian. C Locrian is just a permutation of this key over here. And because the circle of fifths is symmetrical and consistent across all 12 keys, we can rotate these layers likewise with the tonic aligned with any given chord, and we have the modes relative or parallel for that given key. Now looking further with the sevenths notes illustrated, you can see that we have the notes that make up a given chord. So C major, for example, has notes C, E, G, and B flat. That's the C7 chord. Also, we have G7 is G, B, D, F. Those 4 notes make up the G7 chord. Again, not getting into the details behind the theory of borrowed chords or substitute chords, but substitute chords at a high level share 2 notes in common. So any 2 chords that share the same notes, 2 notes, you can substitute one for the other to mix and match chords to come up with spicier chord progressions. And the chord map shows, at a glance, potential chords to use as options as substitutions. So for example, the G7 chord includes G, B, D, and F. Well, if we look up here, B diminished has 3 of those same notes. B, D, and F shows up, B, D, and F shows up in B diminished. So in a progression, we could substitute B diminished for G major. Or likewise, we could also look over here, D minor has a D and an F. To substitute chords, you just need 2 of the shared notes. So this D and this F shows that we could also substitute D minor for G potentially. And of course, it depends on the overall progression and sound that you're going for in a song. But again, at a glance, these patterns highlight the potential options that you can go to. So right away, your eye starts to move around and you start to navigate harmonic space mentally and physically by playing these chords to come up with some really cool sounds. Again, this version of the chord map with sevenths chords is the same as the original version, which is just more streamlined. This version does not show the sevenths notes. It includes the root note of each chord for navigating between modes and different groupings to come up with some really cool chord progressions at a glance. So if you know the chords and know which notes are included in each chord, this is just a streamlined or cleaner design. The sevenths chord map includes a lot more information visually to guide your eyes and mind through harmonic space. We will be using this chord map in other videos to play with chord progressions and the music theory behind songwriting. But again, I wanted to just give you a quick overview of the structure and design, and you can get yours here. So thank you for watching. Please let the algorithm know if you liked this video, and I will see you in the next one.